Good morning. This is Mornings with Marcia. Today I'm going to be talking about how to deploy data folders and data meetings within the blended learning classroom. By deploying data meetings and using data folders, you actually level up in four different areas based off of our learning continuum. What is our blended learning continuum? Well, it's a foundation for everything that we talk about with the three phases of blended learning. There are 10 things that we look at. By going into today, by looking more about how to do the different data meetings and doing data folders, you're going to level up in those four different areas. So some of the four areas that you'd level up in is planning. So you go to phase two because automatically you're going to be using differentiation. You're going to look at the data to help move the kids forward. Also, you're going to be moving up in data and assessment. So in phase one, you're just collecting the data, but in phase two, you're actually using the data to drive your mini lessons. Path, you're going to have a variety of different activities. Because the kids are all learning at different rates and they're learning at different styles, you're going to be now using that data to determine what they're ready to learn and how that looks. And that's part of the data meetings. Maybe you just leave a couple blanks on the checklist and you fill it in when you meet with your kids. And then finally, the fourth area that you get to level up in is in technology because in phase one, you're just using the different websites as you're collecting it and you're kind of figuring out what you want to use. But then phase two, that data is going to be given to you and you're going to use that to help create your mini lessons. I'm going to be talking about your data folders and how to get started. By implementing these couple of steps, you're going to actually move to that phase two rather quickly. So the very first thing I tell my teachers when you're getting ready to start is go buy a really nice folder. The folder that I normally buy, I can get at Walmart, I get from Amazon, but they're not paper. It's actually like harder plastic. And the folder has three prongs. It has a pocket in the front and a pocket in the back. Highly recommend that. So when I'm going to get started with my teachers, even if they're in phase one, I tell them that they need to start putting their checklist inside of their folder. So when the kids get their folder, the very first thing you're going to see is their checklist. This is an example of a checklist. It has the mini lesson, independent practice, it has digital content, and then it has a choice of different future-ready activities that the kids can do. This goes in the front part of their checklist, or in their data folder. I apologize. This goes in the first part of their data folder. The data folder also has the pocket in the front for work in progress. So anything that they're working on goes in the front pocket, and the work that is completed goes in the back pocket. That's my first easy steps. In the blog post, I actually show a photo of a sample checklist folder. Now remember, this is just a checklist folder right now. What it turns into next, it's going to turn into your data folder. So second thing you need to do when you get started is I have this quote, and I know it's kind of silly, but at the same time, it makes a lot of sense. In the blended learning classroom, if I'm going to kill a tree, I'm going to do it for two things. One, my checklist, and two, I'm going to print out the items that belong in my data folder. Why? Because if I put my data folder in Google Drive, it's not in my face. I can't see it. The kids can't see it. When they come to me, they're not, what are you talking about? What? I have to get back. Oh, okay. I got to go find that file. But if the data is with the checklist and it goes everywhere with the kids, then it becomes right there in their face and it's quick, easy check. So in the blog post, I also have place different examples of what's in our checklist. So our data folder contains an introduction, a title page. This is our data folder, kid's name. It gives a little quote too. If you can't measure it, then how can you improve it? Inside, different things that I have are like their personal intentions. I like the personal intentions versus goal setting form because sometimes when you set goals, like I would like to lose 10 pounds or I would like to exercise every day, the first time you fail, then you're like, oh, I can't, I'm just going to give up. I'm not going to be able to do that goal anymore. But if you call it an intention means that you're going to try to do that every day, it kind of helps. So what are the personal intentions? Could be in school, could be out of school. The next thing that I have in my data folder that I give to my teachers is I'm like, okay, let's have a place where every week at the end of the week, the students could be like, how many mini lessons did I attend? How many independent activities did I complete? How many digital content? How many minutes? So basically, I'm keeping track of this because not every week, I don't want like 20 different checklists. I'm going to remove those from week to week, but now I have just a record of how I've been doing, how many things did I get complete that week, and kind of becomes my goal setting. Next week, I want to make sure I get all of my work done. Next up we have in our data folder, we have a mini lesson reflection. The most important part about blended learning is the mini lesson. The mini lesson allows that teacher to work in a small group of students and really help them go above and beyond, fill in the holes and the gaps, and push them to that next level. That mini lesson, that 10 to 15 minute mini lesson with a group of that small students is really the most powerful part about blended learning. So why not have the kids do a quick reflection? When they leave you, they can write in what was the mini lesson about, what is one key takeaway, and any notes that they might have. Goes right in the data folder. The next thing that I have inside of here is a progress chart. To get started with the blended learning process of using data folders, I like doing a progress chart for your pre-test, your post-test. What does that look like? The kids could easily chart their progress. You could do a progress chart for their Lexile. You could do a progress chart of how well they work with other students. A progress chart can be used for many different things. Last but not least, in my data folder, because a lot of our schools are using Freckle.com, I've actually included a Freckle data chart. In here they says like what domain do they work on, how many questions, and the total amount of time. All of this stays together. Again, if I am going to kill a tree, I'm doing it for two things. My checklist, I'm going to print out, and then second, the items that go inside of my data folder. Those items that I just showed you, I print once, and then I don't have to refresh that for quite a while. So it's not like I'm really killing a lot of trees by printing a lot. It's just those extra things that are going to help move along. All right, the next thing we want to talk about is starting small. Don't look at what I just showed you with that big, huge data folder and be like, oh my gosh, it's just one more thing to do. But rather think about what is it that I'm going to start with. I really pin it down to, let's start with your pre and your post assessments. Have the students track what was their pre-assessment score, what was their post-assessment score. I even take it up one more notch, and I have the kids have a list out like the learning targets, and they say they can color it in like I got it, or I need more support, or I need more help with learning about that. That again is on our blog post. There's a little image that showcases what that would look like. But the progress monitoring chart would be my first thing that I would put in there. Start small. Don't get overwhelmed by this. This is not supposed to be something you do, but it's supposed to be something that the students keep track of. You're just going to be looking at it and helping them get through that process. Step 4, the traveling data folder. The data folder just does not go underneath their desk and it comes out at the end of the week or at the end of the 9 weeks. No, the data folder travels with the student from one learning studio to the next every single day. That's right. When the kids go to a mini lesson, they bring their data folder. The teacher's going to look at their data folder, initial anything on their checklist that they got complete. When they have their data folder with them, the teacher quickly grabs the information in the back pocket, pulls it out, takes it, grades it, or takes it home to grade later. In the mini lesson too, the teacher could be like, okay, this is your post assessment, this is your pre-assessment, make sure you go in and chart it. So of course the data folder goes to the mini lesson. It also goes to the independent. The kids have their independent work and they're going to put it in the front pocket until it gets complete. Then it goes in the back. Also at the independent station, they can mark off that they got their independent work done, and then they can go and pick something else on that checklist. The data folder also travels to the digital content. The digital content is going to say on the checklist, work in Freckle for 15 minutes, work in iReady for 20 minutes. Make sure you do Newsella article. That data folder is going to tell the kids how long to work in the different digital content, and you could also do a quick reflection or plot different data points. The data folder also goes to the Future Ready activity. Even though this is a hands-on, collaborative place where the students are showcasing their knowledge, the data folder still goes back with them. So if they're working on something and they don't get it complete, it goes in the front pocket. Also, sometimes the checklist, like for example, our checklist that we create has like directions written right there for the kids. And it says like what they need to do inside of their future ready activity. So this becomes kind of like their guide when they get back there. So again, this goes everywhere with the kids. It's the traveling data folder. I need to coin that phrase. Also, one more thing that I want to talk about the data folder when it travels. It never travels home. It stays there. It stays in the classroom. It does not leave. If you need to send work home in a different folder, work home with the students, put it in a different folder. This data folder stays in your classroom. I also get this question a lot. Some of my teachers are like, well, should I have a data folder for math and a data folder for language arts? And I'm like, yes. If you teach multiple subjects, have multiple data folders. That way, the blue one means math, the yellow means language arts, the red means social studies. The kids will get used to it. One more tip. I've seen a lot of our teachers really becoming really organized with their data folders. Like one of our teachers has like a big bin on a table. So when the kids come in, they just go grab their data folder out of the bin and then they just go back and start working on their checklist. When they leave, they replace the data folder back into that bin before they leave. Keep it simple. Don't become paper heavy. Make sure that you're really using this data folder for a purpose and a reason to keep those kids on track and keep them moving. Next, this is also a key important part about leveling up to phase 2 are your data meetings. We really want you to start thinking about how you can set up data meetings. In the blog post, I walk through like how some teachers do data meetings. One data meeting you could do is like on a Monday. Set up a data meeting on a Monday that's going to go over the checklist so the kids can like say, do they have any questions? Talk about what they're going to do. Some of our teachers are leaving blanks on the checklist and they fill it in so it's almost becoming personalized. That's a sample of a Monday data meeting. Some teachers are doing Wednesday data meetings. What that means by Wednesday data meetings is the fact that on Wednesday, the midpoint check, the teacher can come back, look at their data that's in their folder, look at what the work completed, give them little tips, fill in any holes and gaps, and help motivating that student to that next level. Some teachers do Thursday or Friday data meetings. That's the end of the week check-in. The end of the week check-in, like how much work did you get done? Did you get it all finished? What do you see need to do? All right, time's almost up. You have to have it done by today. These data meetings are extremely powerful because it's that one-on-one quick check with the students. But it's not formal. It's an informal data meeting, meaning like you and me are going to be talking back and forth. It's going to be quick. I'm going to ask, look at your data. You're going to showcase the data to me. I'm going to ask you about, hey, how's your new puppy? Hey, how's that new baby brother or sister? Hey, I saw that you were on track, running track. How was your track meet last night? Building those relationships also in that data meeting will help those students to buy in for student ownership and for student engagement because the kids are going to actually feel like they know you. Last but not least, the best part about data folders is that when it comes time for parent-teacher conferences, it's all there. You have all the information that you need to share and give to those parents right there in that kid's personal data folder. Also, this becomes the ability for you to get to know your students. You will know them so much more. So when parent-teacher conferences come around, you could be like, oh my gosh, you should have seen what Jeff did last week. I was so proud of him. He did. Because of these quick little data meetings, the data folders, these check-ins, it now builds this student relationship, which is part of that student ownership piece that we really need to include in our blended learning environment. We want to build the academic relationship with the students, but also get to know those kids on a level that's going to make them understand that we care and that we're glad that they're in our classroom. Hey, thank you for joining Mornings with Marcia. I hope that you enjoyed learning about the data folders. If you have any more questions, feel free to leave a comment on my blog post, and we'll catch back up with you tomorrow morning. Thanks, guys.